This is definitely a lot spookier. So I have no idea what I'm getting into. I'm just gonna be careful. Okay, looks like they can maybe open up doors now. At least some of them might be able to. Yep. They definitely can open doors now. Okay. So my previous method of kind of breaching and clearing is not going to work so hot. We're getting some gems, though. Which sounds interesting. Gems and cave crystals. Okay, so I'm just going to have to be careful. What the hell is this? Oh, that's an elevator. Oh, boy. Yeah, hopefully we can find some kind of generator around here that I can repair. Because I'd very much like to turn the lights back on. You know, this is actually very much what I wanted the original Dead Space to be. You still did an amount of, like, exploring and repairing stuff, but it was very much on rails. But it would have been kind of a lot cooler, at least from my own perspective, if you were allowed, I guess, to fix and repair and build some more. Because as it stood, whenever I was playing Dead Space, you really just kind of were walking through shooting things, and it would have been kind of neat if, yeah, you could spend much more of your time repairing the facilities and using them to your own advantage, as opposed to just being dude with gun that occasionally fixed things with gravity bits. Dead Space was more of a traditional run you into a spooky horror game, right? Yeah. It was honestly one of the first games that I would say pioneered the concept of jump scares within, like, a game's presentation and narrative. And they did a decent job with it, but it was a lot of just things going ooga booga out of, like, a vent. And after a while, that got kind of repetitive. And it worked well enough as a horror game. But the main reason why that game was so good was because the ambiance and the exploration was frankly inspired. And, like, so walking into a spooky corridor really felt like, you know, boy, this is something special. Okay, we might actually want to get a second power pack to bring with us, because this is kind of punishing. It's always a bit of a shame that that EA kind of butchered Dead Space by the end of it. Because Dead Space 1 was slow, it was claustrophobic, it was methodical. Nothing was ever particularly, like, I'm not going to say overhyped, because there was definitely some, like, big moments, but it never felt particularly, gosh, would I call it spectacle-y? There was definitely some spectacle here and there, But it was very much a slow game. Dead Space 2 sped it up a little bit and had some kind of neat components that made it a little bit more exciting. Which I didn't mind, honestly. And then Dead Space 3 was just kind of like buddy shooter. Not necessarily in a bad way, but just in a way that felt antithetical to what Dead Space 1 and 2 were. There's some jams. Dead Space 3 was a different studio? Nope, same studio. The thing was, like, the first Dead Space, EA just kind of was like, yeah, go have fun, do whatever. Dead Space 2, they were trying to, I think part of it is they were really trying to hype up and make Dead Space this big franchise that everybody cared about. Kind of in the same way that, you know, everybody cares about Assassin's Creed, Halo, Gears of War. Whereas Dead Space really was always going to be kind of this cult classic, slightly higher budget AAA horror game. And the kind of, I'm gonna say, almost aggressive ignorance towards what made Dead Space so good, was just, honestly, depressing. I still have some things that I can recycle. Okay, power pack S is done. Let's go fill that up. Because my other ones are fine, but the fact that my gun can run out of juice like it... or my power pack runs out of juice like it did. That's a bit rough. Because I need that to see. Yeah, they tried to hype it up like a COD game, which completely backfired. I don't necessarily know if they were trying to compete with Call of Duty, but it definitely was trying to overreach what Dead Space was capable of appealing to in a way that made it feel significantly lesser. Yeah, they wanted to milk it via the masses who wouldn't be into the slow, careful horror aspects of the game, and in doing so, kind of ruined it. I mean, absolutely ruined it. And I think you can, like, if you play the Dead Space games, you will straight up, like, kind of see firsthand, like, I don't necessarily want to call it the decline, because to some degree Dead Space 3 was really cool. There were some aspects in there that, like, I still would love to see in other games. It just didn't fit Dead Space. Okay. So I was over on the left for a little bit. It's the problem with AAA devs. The marketing team just follows the trend without actually knowing the game. Yeah, it always blows my mind when I get a PR blast from a publisher that very clearly has never played the game that they're trying to market, and they're just trying to, like, sell me on it so I can sell you guys on it, and it's just like, did you play this? And, like, I don't say anything because I don't want to be rude. Let's see. But it's, I don't know. It doesn't happen too often. It's mostly an issue with, what was it? There's actually I rarely get marketing for countries other than the US. You know, usually companies will specifically have a specialist, a community manager meant for US relations, or like US and Europe. But interestingly enough, was it THQ Nordic? I think it was THQ Nordic. Where's this go? I have no idea. It's probably wherever the elevator takes me down to, but I don't want to risk that. Okay. Stay away from Spitzy. Because I can smack Spitzy around. Okay, that hurt a bit. It did. I guess that isn't so bad. Let's see. Anything else here? A lot of loot and resources. Nothing terribly exciting yet. But, so, I think it was THQ Nordic had... Whoop! Didn't even notice that person there. Had specifically, like, hired a firm to do marketing in... I think it was China. And for whatever reason, what ended up happening is the marketing firm decided to start doing a bunch of marketing in Europe? And so I suddenly got, like, dozens of emails from this company that was actively trying to promote games that I had already played and promoted, you know, previously. And they were trying very aggressively to get me to re-promote it for some reason. But, like, the email marketing was... It honestly just got sent to my phishing scam folder because of how aggressive it was. That it was effectively just like, this seems sketchy, and my email address, or my Gmail was just like, yeah, this seems real weird. And so I just inevitably ignored it because I didn't want to deal with it. But, then afterwards I got an email from THQ, it was THQ Nordic. It would have been Paradox. It was one of the European publishers, but effectively they were apologizing, being like, yeah, we hired them to do this, but they goofed. And it was just off-putting. Because, I don't know, maybe it's just me. Whenever I'm hired to do something, I turn into a bit of a wreck. It's part of the reason why I never do sponsored anythings. Because... I'm quite miserable when... There we go. I'm quite miserable when I have expectations placed on me. That it gets really uncomfortable. I've been contaminated. It's fine. I can fabricate those pills like crazy. And that I really do kind of prefer being able to just play games in my own vacuum. And just say like, yeah, let's just load up Subterrain today and play for X number of hours. Because there's no pressure. Like, nobody was expecting that I was going to play this game today. Least of all me. I rolled the dice and it gave me this. And I'm actually pretty cool with it. This game is great. I'm not seeing any oxygen here, so this is purely the power room. Let there be light! It's still kind of dark in here, but it's not nearly as bad. I wonder if this applies to the lower floor. Which, speaking of, we've explored the whole place in darkness. It's fine. It's okay. Now, I've still got half of my stuff, so I think I'm gonna just go dump things in the train. And we'll go check out the lower floor. Oh. Yeah. Let's just go. I'll come back. I'm already at half on most of my thermal units and oxygen anyway. Love that the train has storage so much. I just wish it was bigger. But it always blows my mind when it's super clear that, like, some person in the games industry, especially, is really phoning it in. Not necessarily because, like, you need to love your job to be in the games industry, but because I feel like so many people are so sensitive, I think, to the idea of things being cash grabs or people phoning it in. Because I think baseline, people notice and kind of react to that sort of thing and think, like, you know, why should I care about this if, you know, if you don't? And maybe it's not as big of an issue, but it's still something that always, like, sticks in my head a little bit. Hey, thanks, Criers, for the raid, and welcome on in. How you guys doing? What were you up to today? Was today more vintage story? Probably. Okay, how's my other shotgun doing? It's fine. Hey, and thank you, Exodus, for the 20-month resub. Why, hello there, Wander. Hope you have a good day. I'm having a good day. This game is fun. Do you wanna... Here, let's switch the pistol out for SMG. Because I liked the pistol earlier, but I think an SMG might not be a bad compliment. Now that I'm fighting things a little bit closer quarters. Do I want to rest? Yeah, it's rest. Let's see. 2 hours of bug fixing first. Yeah, I'd do it. I think I slept too long. Oh well. Oh, and thanks for upgrading to the T2 resub as well. Thank you. Wondering about that, and it's like, how'd you get 2 of those? You're not supposed to be able to do that. Right. Question, how's my power looking? Power's looking good. We've got about 2,000. Oh, shoot. Okay. So gems will result in this stuff. I think I'm going to wait on refining the gems, just in case there's something I need to use these on. Okay. So what else do we do? How are we doing on thirst and hunger? We're doing okay there. Boy, I've got a lot of spare food and drink. Here. I guess, honestly, we don't care too much about contamination. I can make pills that effectively just get rid of it. Why did I do that? Let's see. What else is in my inventory that's dragging me down? Oh, it's the gems. Can I... Yes, I can put the gems away. Cool. Else looks good. Do I have everything out of the tram storage? I do. Onwards. Back to Viking Square. We still haven't cleared out the infection, so clearly that basement is spooky. So is this some sort of top-down survival shooter? Pretty much exactly what it is. So I originally thought this was a roguelike, but I was very wrong. It is, honestly, easiest way to describe this would be like a slightly sandbox, slightly more survivally Prey. And I'm pretty down with that. And also it's top down, but that goes without saying. Let's see. Does this have multiplayer? No, I wish. Also, can't use the elevator. There might be 5 floors. Oh, gosh. Okay. That's fine. That would explain why this place is so heavily infested. Yeah, Prey mixed with Darkwood. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Now let's see if the lights stay on for subsequent floors. Please tell me the answer is yes. I'm not used to games having loading screens like this. And the answer is yes. At least for here. It may get worse. Nope, never mind. Maybe? No. Okay. There we go. Anything on this guy? Nope. Ow. No, I should have closed the door. I don't know. I think we might want to just wander some hallways for a bit. Because critters are going to pop out at me regardless. They do so based on noise, I think. Please tell me this is a small side bag. Dang. But we do get a Jeff Murray figure. R. Okay, so those hacked key cards effectively are lockpicks. They seem to be kind of limited in quantity. Let's see. We have updates. Hype for Monday Revita Bees and Beasts update. I'm looking forward to that. I feel bad that I only put in, like, what? A couple of episodes into Revita and then stopped. I think it's one of those that early access just hurts right now. I don't hate early access, it's just... too many. Okay. Tons of hacked key cards. Touch tablet. These are bathroom shower things. This somebody's like, yeah. Not exactly executive suite. But still. Yeah, sometimes you just gotta play a game that's actually finished. Yup. Because I don't know. It's... I can only really play a game for so long before it gets boring. And this has, like, been getting worse lately, not better, where it's just like, yeah, I have the patience for about 10 hours of the game. Wasn't Revita the one with Deer Magic, or you're confusing that with Noida? Yeah. Revita's the one with the, I'm almost gonna call it, like, a Celestish aesthetic. Definitely a Celestish soundtrack. Okay. So what are these side rooms? Mostly dumpsters. I didn't actually see the enemy because they were like fused with me, but I saw a little bit of motion. It's like, oh, you stinky man. Alright, let's actually go downstairs. My inventory is full. I'll play a game all day, 3 days straight, and then promptly drop it. That's honestly exactly where I'm at with a lot of games. That, especially as a streamer, it is a lot easier for me to play a game for a couple of days, you know, ride whatever novelty interest that people have in it, and then honestly shelve it in favor of the next thing. But the problem with early access games is they're usually like, they kind of justify maybe 1 day's worth of that. And then it's like, well, now what do I do? And the answer is, well, I guess I come back in like 2 weeks. And then I come back in 2 weeks, or maybe a month, month and a half, something like that. And, you know, maybe they've added like 20% more. And so I do like a couple runs, maybe I do another level, play a little bit more. And then I'm just like, alright, that was fun, but it didn't really feel like it was enough to really draw me back. So I feel like with a lot of early access games, I get strung along by this constant cycle of exploration and... Well, not exploration. Constant cycle of small updates. Oh, let's see. Okay, so we got a ton of food. And some gems that I can put in. Yeah, microtransactions for your time. Yeah. And it's like, I don't necessarily begrudge a lot of early access titles for having this process. Because that is just how they work. You know, it takes a while to make a game. And so I should never really expect a developer to make a game fast. Or, you know, sometimes a developer can only make half a game before they have to release just so they get some extra funding via the early access profits. But it is very much a double-edged sword that is starting to hurt me a little bit when it comes to enthusiasm for playing these games. Whereas conversely, it's kind of fun to go back and find a game that I missed that is completely done that I haven't, you know, that I've never played before and just get real deep in it. It's like, oh, this is satisfying. This is what I needed. That should be good. I'll wait for others. Yeah. Oh, Rogue Legacy especially. I know they've been updating Rogue Legacy with some level of regularity. And I'm looking forward to playing Rogue Legacy 2 again. But I know if I started playing it now, I would never play the 1.0 until, like, way after its release date, just because I can't do that. But yeah, I've been stepping back from early access stuff. Unless they have a hard release date, I only play one session. I think that's the way to do it. That I would much rather I would much rather an early access where, yeah, I play for one afternoon, say, yeah, this is pretty cool, and then just shelve it almost eternally until it's time to come back. I think Factorio was always kind of a decent way of this, where you just come back somewhat regularly and say, like, hey, you know, a bunch of stuff has changed with Factorio. There are some new mods. Everything's cool again. Let's load up Factorio and do another Factorio run. Did I loot this? No, I had not looted this room. Grand piano. Storage crate. Billiards. Really hoping I could get to the elevator, but I'm not seeing one. You lootable? The answer is no. Okay, so we got creepy egg. Punch creepy egg into oblivion. Thank you. Man. This game does everything right that I usually hate from this genre. How many of you guys saw my We Happy Few playthrough a couple of years ago? Because that was an exercise in constant frustration of just like, boy, there's just so much. And admittedly, there's still kind of so much that the appeal of exploring and looting and scrapping is getting a little slow. And a little drudgish. But flip side, I know none of this is procedurally generated. This is all hand-designed. Admittedly using a lot of the same assets. So I know that, like, once I've cleared one of these areas out, I'm done for good. And I don't have to think about it again. That alone is actually huge. Yeah, We Happy Few seemed promising, but it failed. We Happy Few's biggest issue is that they wanted the game to be bigger than it was, so they bloated it like all hell. And that made it bad. It would have been much better as just, like, really small, really localized content that you know, maybe every character is, like, 6 hours of missions. Because I think they had 3 different characters that you play as. But, you know, if they just had 3 separate and unique campaigns for every character with, you know, maybe you go through some of the same locations. But, you know, if they gotten rid of the survival aspect of it, because the game never felt very survival-ish. They made it a survival game because that was in vogue at the time. But they never made it with the idea of, like, this is actually what makes a survival game good. They just made it. It was copy-paste. But copy-paste in a way that, honestly, detracted from the experience as opposed to made it better. And you can see this with a couple of games where they make it one way because I guess that's just how it should be done, as opposed to because it was actually good. Yeah, would love to see We Happy Few World done with more of a BioShock style. Exactly. You know, keep it focused, keep it beatable within a short period of time. Let's see. Leave everything hand designed. Get rid of food and drink. You know, if you want to have food and drink be entirely how players heal. Don't do the whole silly. Food and drink is how your character keeps fed, because that rarely feels good in games that aren't sandboxy. There we go. Hopefully I can get a more accurate SMG later. What are some games that, like, shoehorned mechanics in because it was traditional to do so? I guess I played a game called Ashwalkers recently that did the exact same thing. It's supposed to be a branching story narrative game, slash survival... Not survival horror, just survival sandbox, I guess, where you are trying to find the you're trying to find the Dome of Domes, and it's like the last safe place in the apocalypse. It was a shoehorned in mechanics because it was popular. Fortnite. It's true. I will say though, Fortnite actually managed to do it. Probably at the cost of extreme crunch. And it's like, admittedly, most of their game was already there. Now, if Fortnite had food, water, and sleep mechanics, boy, that would have felt so wrong in such a weird place. Fallout 4 building. That's fascinating, but you're right. Fallout 4's base defense, base building, and town management did not fit the game, made no goddamn sense, and was implemented so poorly most people shat on the game relentlessly as a result of it. Ultimately, Fallout 4 was actually an okay game, but because they had this kind of town management and building perspective, it kind of became this, like, worse product, because you still kind of were encouraged to do so and felt that you had to. As somebody that actually really liked those things, I thought it was really cool. But they should have made Fallout 4, you know, Fallout 4.5, I guess would be the better way of putting it. And really gave that content the time to breathe. Yeah, Fortnite with food mechanics. Now that's just bad. Exactly, but so many of these games do it, because it's just like, well, we've got a base game, let's make people eat. Yeah, Scrap Mechanic Survival, another great example. And, like, it could have been done, but I think what they should have done was actually just hired a separate team to make it separately, using all of the mechanics previously, and then just kept focusing on Scrap Mechanic. Because I lost all interest in playing Scrap Mechanic, because they didn't add anything new. Because it was all hands on deck on survival mode for the most part, and it was just like, the thing that I was interested in this game is no longer the focus, so why should I care about it anymore? Yeah, Fortnite screwed us OG backers by making an entirely different game when that was promised. I'm still mad about this. I haven't played I haven't played any Fortnite Save the World sense, because it's like, I really want to play a game where you have your base. Your base does not move and you're constantly upgrading it. And then you're exploring, you're going out into this wild, honestly not too far off, like if you could combine Fortnite's base defense with a Fallout 4 world, like this big, possibly slightly procedurally generated big world to explore with quests, missions, events, bosses, lore, story, little bits of things to kind of make exploring interesting. But you can never stray too far away, because if you do, the bad boys will come and break your base into bits. Drake Hollow was close, but also not really what I wanted. Yeah, Drake Hollow didn't really know what I wanted it to be, in kind of a very similar sense, where it's like, they had a bunch of these... Holy shit. And SMG is like the least accurate thing I've ever used. Hey, elevator. Elevator isn't powered. You suck. Okay, this looks promising though. Let's see. Thought Metal Gear Survive had a pretty good take on that. I have to play that. I need to sit down and play Fallout 76 again. Just to see, like, have they fixed it up? And I also have to sit down and play Metal Gear Survive to see if it's better. Let's see, 76 does have actual tower defense mechanics as part of its gameplay, however. Yeah, I'm interested. I don't necessarily know if it would be good. Is this down?